Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show with Aditya, India's number one podcast, with India's number one host, Aditya. Coming to you live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In association with Dusra.net, the number one website in sports, education, and entertainment. This is your award winning host Aditya, and welcome to the Golden Jubilee episode of the weekly show with Aditya. On the 27th of March 2019, and the time by the studio clock is 10:45 am. With the World Cup only 33 days away, the performances in the T20 domestic tournament become more prominent than they have ever been in the last 12 years. It is the time for some superstars like Raina, Yuvraj, Akshar Patel to keep their names in the team management's list when they finalize the team for the World Cup. Though these three may or may not play in the World Cup, they can be adequate backup if a player gets injured or is unable to play due to some or the other reason. So yes, these three all-rounders should be kept in mind, and there are few more who have to be kept in mind in case someone gets injured or some or the other issue crops. The build-up to the return of Warner and Smith has been quite interesting. They were, as you remember, suspended for a very ludicrous reason, and the only reason it happened was because the Australian Cricket Board wanted a face saving measure, and they found the perfect scapegoats in Warner and Smith to placate the media and sponsors. Their absence for a while did make a difference to the Australian team, but now it is coming of its own, especially in the 50 over and 20 over versions. But their place in the team is a guarantee, and we cannot have any kind of debate about it. Imagine if someone like Gilchrist, Hayden, Ponting were suspended for a year and they were to return. They would have been in the team even before their suspensions were off. So yes, why not give a chance to Warner and Smith to be the part of the team? Momentum is always an important part of any sport, and with Australia winning 5 in a row, beating India 3-2 and taking a 2-0 lead over Pakistan, chasing totals of 280 plus, has certainly put the ball in Australia's court, and the question surrounding Aaron Finch not making runs has been laid to rest, and now it remains to be seen if they continue with Khwaja and Finch as the openers, or will Warner be slotted in as an opener or in the middle order, and will someone like Peter Hanscom and Sean Marsh give way to Warner and Smith? It is certainly an interesting proposition for Australia. Another story that has been in focus is the one between Pant and Dhoni. In this sport, age has taken such precedence in matters which are really inexplicable. We have created this aura around these two players. The nomenclature of master and apprentice has become a rage now, though I don't believe that is even the case. Dhoni is 37 and a half, Pant is 21 and a half, and this number is now being put as a very important factor in the slowness of Dhoni versus the exuberance of youth. This debate of who should and who should not play is completely pointless. It is not the first time that two wicket keepers or goalkeepers have played in the same team. This discussion has no head or tail whatsoever. Nomenclatures like batting positions, batting pitch, toss, color of the ball is totally irrelevant. Let's talk a bit about the Ashwin Butler incident. Ashwin, while bowling, before he completed his bowling action, flicked the stumps of the non-striker, who at that time was Josh Butler, who was just moving across the pitch, and Ashwin saw the opportunity to run him out. And if it was not going to be, the umpire would have said, I am not considering your decision. Nevertheless, the field umpire went to the third umpire, and that individual took a decision no matter how controversial it is. It's in the past. We cannot go back to what happened, how it happened. Once the umpire did not disqualify Ashwin's appeal, the matter was laid to rest. There is no question of morality versus going by the code. Since the stipulation of warning was removed by the authorities who make the rules of this sport, then we should understand that what happened has happened. It was instinctive and probably good observation. Though on a different note, I would still have Ashwin in my World Cup team because he can bat. And then this whole debate of finger spinners versus leg spinners should be laid to rest once and for all. The road to WrestleMania electrifies with every passing day, and Kofi Kingston, the wrestler, after going through a tough couple of weeks, and the questions of will he, won't he, were finally answered when he was inducted for the WWE Championship match against the reigning defending champion Daniel Bryan. After memorable performances in the Elimination Chamber and couple of gauntlet matches, it finally came down to his teammates in New Day, that is Xavier Woods and Big E, who were given a stipulation of beating 5 other competent tag teams to pave the way for Kofi going to WrestleMania. It all came down to the last match when these two had to defeat the defending champion Daniel Bryan and his partner Rowan, and it ended in a count-out victory, giving an opportunity for the entire locker room to celebrate. Another exciting moment was for Charlotte Flair, who won the SmackDown Women's Championship, and now she heads into WrestleMania with a championship behind her hand, and now she will look for an opportunity to have both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship in her kitty at the same time, which means that she has nothing to lose. But this time the pressure is more on her opponents in Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. Both these wrestlers stand to lose because if one of them loses, Charlotte Flair still returns with a SmackDown Women's Championship, but either Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey will return empty handed. The rivalries of the non-title matches are as exciting as those of the ones with the title matches. Kurt Angle in his final match against his arch nemesis Baron Corbin. Roman Reigns returning to in-ring performances at a big pay-per-view event against another arch nemesis in Drew McIntyre. A 2-decade-old feud between Batista and Triple H will finally be decided at a no-holds-barred match. As tempers flare between The Miz and Shane McMahon, their match now becomes a false count anywhere match, which means no disqualifications and no countouts. Looking to seal their legacies, AJ Styles and Randy Orton will now fight for the king of the SmackDown brand. And there is Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal match as well. Rey Mysterio and Samoa Joe will face each other for the United States Championship. There will be a special episode on this event by India's one and only WWE expert, your award winning host Aditya. Why do we divide our education into humanities, STEM, and commerce? And this is one thing that has been perplexing. If there wasn't enough hypothetical divisions of the so called middle class and lower class or higher class in education, did we have the need to divide into humanities, science, commerce, and others? Some might argue that all this is based on one's aptitude, where at the age of 6 years old there is no aptitude and no one bothers about all these complexities. This compartmentalization is baffling and is not needed at all. In fact, there is a thin line between these three hypothetical and make believe fields. We put too much emphasis on the technical skills, and there is a fear that a child's inability to understand or solve basic problems in maths and science will have an impact on their future. No, it will not. All these three so called fields coexist and are intertwined. Skills such as communication, teamwork, problem solving, critical thinking, ability are omnipresent in all the fields. We might be fixated with AI, but that is a lifeless entity. Writing a book is as much as a skill as creating an application. Another term that bemuses me is the definition of the word job. There is a myopic understanding of this word. Here too, what we do, where we work, how we work has a very limited scope and understanding. Jobs and employment is not all about clearing interviews and working in some sector, not all the time.